Hi guys, this is my presentation on separation anxiety disorder. I have three research articles about it. So, table of contents. First, I have separation anxiety disorder in youth. This one looks at childhood separation anxiety disorder. Adult separation anxiety, this one looks at adult onset. And pediatric onset and adult onset separation anxiety disorder across countries from the World Mental Health Survey. So, first, separation anxiety disorder in youth, feminology, assessment, and treatment. So, the overview, this was a systematic review and it looked at the main domains in children. So, feminology, what SAD looks like in children, assessment, how it's measured and diagnosed, treatment, what intervention there is. And the basic finding was that SAD is often considered typical in early childhood, but when the anxiety becomes inappropriate, excessive, or persistent, or interfering, it may constitute a clinical disorder. So, SAD in youth. Over here, children with SAD may exhibit avoidant behavior, so they don't want to go to school, they don't want to hang out with anyone except for the person or place that they have an attachment to. They may have somatic complaints, which is stomach problems, stomach aches, headaches, and this can impact the family as a whole, even if one person is experiencing it. The prevalence is about 4.1% in children, and this is age appropriate until it becomes persistent and inappropriate. So, in babies, they have separation anxiety disorder for fear of the unknown. And this, again, like I said, is regular until it becomes a persistent thing that's happening and it becomes where children start having those somatic or avoidant behaviors. The risk factors is it biological, temperamental, parenting strategies, environmental, and it can really again lead to that school refusal, poor peer interactions, and family conflict. The most valid assessment is diagnostic interviews. They're considered the gold standard. One example is anxiety disorder interview schedule. Another one is self-report questionnaires. An example of that one is multi-dimensional anxiety scale for children. And there's observational methods such as the parent-child interaction coding system 2. These are all common assessments used to diagnose SAD. Younger children, like preschool, are more challenging to assess just because of their temperament, and there's few validated tools that exist as of right now to determine if this is no typical or if there is a problem. In treatment, the most common and effective is cognitive behavioral therapy. And it's most effective when there's child and parent involvement. So when both the child and the parent are there for the therapy sessions and they work together as a team. Parent-focused treatments show improving success. So when we focus on the parents before we focus on the child, and SSRIs, which is serotonin reuptakes medication, show really strong benefit when paired with the CBT. Implications from this study is it should be taken seriously and addressed as soon as possible. It's suggested that parents take preventative measures within the home. This looks like not being around your child all the time, giving them alone time, and letting them know that that's okay. As SAD in children can result in school refusal, this can lead to difficulties with speech and language deficits from refusal. And behavioral actions may occur and should be addressed consistently to have faster generalization of therapy techniques. So, addressing these, even if the child is in school or away from the parents, they need to be consistent. The next one, adult separation anxiety. This one was a longitudinal study and it looked at how symptoms of adult separation anxiety are related to personality traits. I'll let you guys read the background there. Um, they really looked at how how it affects adults in their everyday lives and the comorbidity of it over time. So the key findings from this one was adult separation anxiety symptoms were associated with higher levels of negative emotionality, and this was kind of the broader personality domain. And it is a facet of stress reaction. So this can occur flare up really when there is the anxiety can flare up more when the person becomes under stress from other factors. Lower order personality traits, so the ones that kind of come out when we're least expecting it, are associated with ASA. And these include aggression, alienation, and absorption. So when people are experiencing symptoms of ASA, these symptoms kind of come out and take over. So over time, negative temperament increased. This indicates that untreated ASA will result in compounding negative temperament. The implications from this is emotional reactivity might interfere with sustained attention, divided attention, or coping with therapy demands. So if they're worried about the separation, that's the main thing they're focused on, and they'll have trouble with other factors in their life. The absorption trait might mean the person gets stuck in worrying about separation, so they kind of get in a state where that's the only thing that they can focus on. Short therapy sessions that increase over time will be more effective, and symptoms should be addressed consistently, like the childhood. Pediatric onset, this is the one that looked both at adult and child. The background of this, the large-scale study examined how often SAD occurs across the lifespan and what factors are linked to it. So this was a very large sample size, and it came from 18 different countries, and it was drawn from the World Health Organization from their World Mental Health Surveys. This used a structured diagnostic interview with SAD defined and explained so people knew exactly what it was. And the outcomes studies include the lifetime, 12-month prevalence, age of onset, comorbidity, role impairment, and predictors. So the key findings from this one was lifetime prevalence of SAD averaged about 4.8 across the countries. A large portion of those lifetime cases had onset after age 18, and that was 43.1%. So that's a pretty large section. 12-month prevalence was much lower, and that was only about 1% of the sample. 12-month prevalence, among those with the 12-month SAD, other disorders, 42.4% reported severe role impairment. So being able to carry on in their life with this. Earlier SAD predicted onset of other internal and external disorders and vice versa. So as they got this anxiety, it brought on those other factors like the somatic and the refusal or avoidant behaviors, or those factors brought out. So if they were isolated for a period of time, it brought on that separation anxiety even more. The implications from this is SAD is not just a childhood disorder. Although only 1% have it in any given 12-month period, the lifetime risk is 4.8%. SAD can significantly interfere with function, especially with other present disorders. And the risk factors is adverse childhood environment, trauma, and also being female. And I thought this was really interesting. Being female was more of a risk factor in the lifetime. Uh, People that were diagnosed with lifetime, not just the 12-month. These risk factors apply whether the disorder started earlier or later in life, like I said, with being female. So females have a higher prevalence rate, which is not common. The key findings from this basically was something that was consistent through all three of them is SAD is not just a childhood disorder. It does occur in adults, although it's less prevalent. It does occur and it can be very debilitating. It can take over your whole life, and therapy and sometimes medication needs to be implemented, and generalization of those therapy skills needs to be carried across to help with this. So, thank you guys so much.